as 2021 comes to a close, I hope that you're just thinking about, I don't know, that life can be short. You get one life. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel for day 5 of Vlogmas. We're just 20 short days away from Christmas, which means we're also not that far away from the new year. If you don't know, I'm a big fan of self-help books. And so since the new year's coming up, I'm sure you're all thinking about your New Year's resolutions. I thought I would just give you guys my top 10 books that I've read in the self-improvement genre that I think have really helped me. I'm gonna rattle them off in no particular order. Literally, I just randomly stacked them and that's the order I'm gonna read them off in. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the first book that I'm gonna talk about today, the full title is The War of Art: Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles. So basically in the book, he kind of talks about the difference between a creative who is a pro and an amateur. I feel like for a lot of us in our creative pursuits, a lot of us think that we have to be like a Beyonce or a Meryl Streep. And the reality is that all of those people, sure, they have a certain base level of talent, but part of the reason they are who they are is because they work at their craft. Like, they don't say, oh, I don't feel like singing today, I don't feel like going to vocal practice. You know, it's gonna happen. They're gonna overcome the resistance. And I don't want to spoil the book, but it was just really good if you're a creative or really anything. Like I remember one example that he put in here was somebody who's writing a dissertation. It was super good to the point where I literally cried at the end of it because it was so good. So I highly recommend this one. The next book on my list is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. People talk about atomic habits, but I really like this one because he talks about it more big picture, but then also personally. I think that this was just one of the first books I read where I really thought about, you know, like the things that I do, including the things that I like about myself or the things that I don't like about myself that I want to improve. A lot of it is just habit. It's not necessarily an ingrained part of myself that's innate. And I don't know, it just really made you realize like you can change parts of yourself and by creating new habits. I remember I could not put it down. It was so good. So that's my second recommendation. My third recommendation is Girls and Sex by Peggy Ornstein. If you are a young woman, like I feel like no matter how you feel about human sexuality or your own sexuality, this book is like mind-blowing. God, I remember just reading it and at certain points I feel like I just thought that I was like crazy or I was the only person who felt a certain way about female sexuality and how, you know, how women, we can feel about ourselves and our sexual expression, or just how people perceive and judge women based off their sexual expression. And so it was so interesting in this book. She does a research study on girls, I believe 18 to 25. And I like that it covers a whole gamut of sexuality. It's not like she's just covering sexually active girls. She's covering girls who are waiting until marriage, girls who are very into hookup culture, girls who fall in between somewhere. So it covers the whole gamut of sexuality and just, I don't know, just gives some research and like scientifically backed info about navigating the complicated new landscape. I loved this book, highly recommend it. The next book that I highly recommend is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This book was recommended to me by a friend. I remember I was very busy at the time in college. I just remember telling her, I'm so stressed. I feel like day to day I have to compartmentalize my life to make sure that I achieve everything. And so she asked me, have you ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? I said no. I bought it, but it was so good, like completely reworked the way that I decided to plan out my life. And I guess that's the goal of the book. He wants you to live a principle-centered life. I just feel like this is a super good book for helping you get kind of organized and thinking about what you want out of life and then how to actually achieve it. But not necessarily in like a go after your goals way, but more in like a be holistic in what you want and what you can achieve. I really like this book. My next book. Oh, I'm so excited. Clearly, I really like this book. This is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying by Marie Kondo. So this book is basically about having things around you that spark joy. So it's not just about organizing, but it's about the idea that your things hold energy. One thing that I like about this book as opposed to other organizing books, there's no arbitrary rules like, oh, if you haven't worn it in 6 months, chuck it. You know whether or not you have something in your home that you really like and that you really enjoy and that you want to hold on to, or whether or not it's something that you're holding on to out of like obligation. This book just taught me like, have things around you that you love and it'll create a good energy around you. I ended up deciding to Marie Kondo my childhood bedroom. And when I tell you, over the course of that week, oh my God, I cried, I laughed, I reminisced. It was super nostalgic, and it was weird. It like made me take a look at my entire life. I'd been living in that room on off for 14 years, and I still had clothes from middle school for whatever reason. I mean, God, notes from friends that were literally 10 years old. Oh, like I feel like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Because basically I feel like the lesson I took away from this book is that objects really do hold energy. And it sounds crazy. It sounds very extra, but I swear, and I feel like this book had a lasting effect on me because to this day, I will like get rid of something if I feel like it's harboring an energy that doesn't align with where I feel like I want to be or where I feel like I'm going. You should be surrounded by things that you love and things that make you feel good. And it sounds crazy, and I feel like sometimes when I talk to people about Marie Kondoing, they kind of like for lack of a better term, they half-ass it. And it's like, no, you have to read the book. You have to do exactly what she says. And she says that in the book. Like, you can't be like, oh, well, I'm going to hold on to this. And like, I don't really like this shirt to wear out in the day, but I'll wear it as a pajama. No, she in the book specifically says you cannot do that. Like, if you don't like it enough to wear out, why would you want to wear it in your home when you're comfy and you're getting ready to like go to bed, and like, sleep should be a peaceful, restorative experience, and you're wearing clothes that you don't even think are nice enough to wear out and about, but you'll wear it in your home where you should be feeling comfortable. Clearly, I feel very strongly about this. Definitely give it a read, and if you're gonna go ahead and Marie Kondo your place, make sure you follow it to the T. You won't regret it. The next book that I highly recommend is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, I'm not rich yet, but I really love this book. So this book is basically about Robert and growing up, and he had a rich dad and a poor dad, and he basically just talks about how a lot of us have been taught that we should make money by going to school, getting a high-paying job. That's the way that you gain financial freedom. But Robert talks about his poor dad, who was not very well educated, drove a beat-up car, I think at one point, and how this man ended up being the richest man in Hawaii. So he just kind of breaks down how people should go about thinking about money to attain wealth. It just really opened my mind to all the different ways that I can go about making money, learning about things like taxes. I just think it's a really good read. Even if you don't want to be filthy rich one day or whatever, I think it's still good to have this in your collection just so you can kind of be aware of the going-ons of finances in the US. Oh my God, am I basic for having this on my top 10 list? The next book is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I feel like this book, a lot of people know it. A lot of people have watched the movie. Maybe you've read the book. Basically, this is the first book that really made me realize that your thoughts really do create your reality. That sounds crazy. I know to a lot of people that sounds foo-foo, but you know, even if you don't believe in like the foo-foo, like magical aspect of like the law of attraction, you think it's like a bunch of crap, whatever. Let's just think about it from a logical standpoint. Let's say, for example, you want to be a billionaire. Since I just talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, let's use that as an example. If you think that money is a bad thing, if you think that wealthy people are like all people who have cheated their way to wealth, if you tell yourself that you don't want to be wealthy, you're not going to be open to receiving information and things that could help you attain those things. Versus if you tell yourself, I am wealthy, money comes to me easily and freely, I am going to be a billionaire, or I am a billionaire. It's like a thing where I feel like you just like walk in that energy. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like because you walk in that energy and you exude it, things come to you. So it might seem like a lot of phooey. There's probably a lot of psychology that's involved in it. Some people will say it's metaphysics. I don't know. I just know the stuff works. And it's like, you know, like you create your own reality. Choose positivity. Choose to speak what you want into existence. My next book recommendation is The One Thing. I really like this book because I feel like sometimes if you're like a big dreamer or you have big goals, it can kind of feel unattainable sometimes. This book does a good job of breaking down a lot of maybe small tidbits of advice that you've gotten before, but putting it together in one really concise book. You know, they talk about the 10,000 hour rule, which is basically to master a craft, you need 10,000 hours of practice. I like that he broke it down and made it really simple. If you spend 4 hours Monday through Friday every week for 5 years doing your one thing, whatever the one thing that you really want to do is, in 5 years you will have the 10,000 hours of practice. I feel like this book just made me realize if you just really focus on your one thing, the thing that you want the most, and you go towards it and you use some of the principles that he talks about in this book, it doesn't have to be like this big dream that you don't really know how to achieve. Like, I mean, he talks about the Pareto principle. He talks about time blocking. I quite enjoyed it. I just remember reading it and feeling like I can do anything, you know, but not in a corny way, but like in a way where there was actually really good info that breaks it down and makes it simple. Oh my gosh, I love this book. This book is called Pretty Happy by Kate Hudson. Yes, the actress. When I used to think about losing weight, it was strictly from a point of vanity, like wanting to look better. It was the first time that I had read a book that made me think about losing weight or my health from the standpoint of just like the overall health of my body and not just how I look. I mean, another thing that she said in here that I really liked was, you know, it's literally not healthy to not work out. Your body is not meant to be still all the time. Your body gets stiff if you just sit still. And you know, your body wants to move and feel free and agile. When I finished reading this book, I was just like, wow, like there's so much more to being healthy than just like looking good. It's like a whole, it's a lifestyle, and not like a lifestyle in terms of like living this lifestyle to look a certain way, but living a certain lifestyle to feel good in your body and feeling good in your body, and that being the core desire of your health goals. You know, you'll get the physique probably that you want if you're doing things that make you feel good, you know? I know I said that these were in no particular order, but I saved the best for last. This is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I love, 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 love this book. This book is basically about 4 principles that you should live by to just stop creating drama in your life and just to feel like you're living a life of peace. The 4 agreements that he talks about are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and last, always do your best. All 4 of these sound so simple, but like I remember just feeling like peace when I started applying some of these principles to my life. He says it in the book, but we can just save ourselves so much drama if we just have the courage to ask the questions that we want to ask instead of making assumptions. If we just realize that when people do things to us, it has nothing to do with us. When people say and do things to you, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what they have going on inside. I remember, for example, I had a friend throughout college who, by the time my 4th year of college came around, we were no longer friends, but we were living together. And a couple weeks before the semester ended, she and I got into this huge fight. Okay, I'm gonna laugh when I say this because it's literally funny to me, because I don't take it personally. But we're in an argument and she's like, "You're fat, fat, fat. You have multiple roles and multiple chins and nobody will ever love you." And, I fired back with what I fired back with. That's a story for a different time. But the point is, I feel like at a certain point in my life, a comment like that would have crushed me. I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, she's right." But at that point in my life, I built up the confidence where I'm like, first of all, you're wrong. Like, you're just wrong. Also, because I had known her for so long, I was like, oh, you know what? She said that to me because that's how she feels about herself. She struggled with anorexia and bulimia. And it's like, had I not known that, I would have taken it so personally, but it almost allowed me to have a bit of empathy for her. Like, oh my God, like this is probably what she tells herself. And just because she's saying that to me, that doesn't mean that I have to make the agreement that that's true. I hope that you took something away from this video and that hopefully you'll go out and get one of these books if anything resonated with you and help you just, improve yourself and level up in some kind of way in 2022. I really appreciate you all tuning in. It's like really so special to me. So thank you all so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow for day 6. Bye.